For attending this webinar on how to create the perfect company culture. This is a subject that's on everybody's minds these days because things should be getting easier and instead they seem to be getting harder. And so a lot of people have been asking me how I keep our company culture in line. So we put this webinar together and it's just for you. And I have a special PowerPoint for you. So let's start right away. Now, one word of caution. If you have any questions, either unmute yourself if you can. If you can't, just type it in the chat. And I'm using a bunch of new pieces of software, so I apologize. All the mistakes are my responsibility, and we'll get them fixed by next time. That's a promise. So here we go. So this morning's webinar is Creating the Perfect Culture. Culture comes to first, then sales. We'll start out by defining what company culture is. You can read it right there, but I'll read it off for you. Company culture is defined as the set of shared values, goals, attitudes, practices that characterize the organization. Why should you care? This is important. Employees who don't like their company culture are 24% more likely to quit. So now you got to start all over again, start retraining. A bad company culture will result in disengaged employees, making them more likely to look for work elsewhere. Again, new hires, new training. A bad hire who stays less than 6 months will cost you an average of $25,000. I don't know where that number comes from, so I forgot to look it up, and when I looked it up to verify it, but I can tell you that mentally it costs a lot more than that. I worry about people that get started in our company culture because I think it's the perfect place to work, and it should create certainty for them that they can hold their jobs and defend them. There are 5 cornerstones of a perfect company culture. The personnel, key. Their attitudes as well as your attitude as the business owner. The core values, which we're going to get to. What the company's goals are, and you align those through a process called PPFs, personal, professional, financial goals of every employee, what their 1-year goals are, their 3-year goals are, and their 5-year goals are. And as the owner of a company, try as hard as you can to keep their goals and your goals aligned, and everything will keep going and flowing smoother. There's a term called intrapreneurship that you should all become aware of. That is someone inside of your company who brings in a service or something. It's like all of the resources that, and I'll reference it in terms of mine, all of the resources of my company, the relationships that I have, the warm list, the cold list, the power bases, all of those things. And then someone comes into my company with a skill set that I or my company does not have at the point. And then I encourage those people inside the company to create a portion inside the company that would become collaborators on, so that that person's skill set can be delivered to our power base and our contact list, and we both make money through collaboration. And then practice. Practice, practice, practice. Some of you may not know this, but I'm an old baseball coach. I coached high school baseball for 4 decades, and I knew a long time ago that if you didn't practice a skill set every day, it would erode. So that's why we are really big on role playing every morning and practicing and practicing and practicing, because it brings your level of certainty up. But you may not have thought about this before, but culture starts at the interview. Excuse me. You need to establish what your company culture is before you hire someone. This is done by the questions that you ask. We give, during the interview, our core values to every prospective interviewee, and we ask them to tell us what each of those means to them. It's a great way of finding out if this person's going to be out of alignment. Then you know right off you shouldn't hire them. Your goal should be trying to identify the type of employee they are and figuring how to take our or your company goals and their goals and align them so that you both can have a future together. Here's a little piece of data that's probably new to most of you. There are only 3 types of employees. The willing, that means someone who's totally aligned with the company goals and does whatever it takes to arrive at whatever the company goals are. The negative or the defiant, that's someone who's at counter purposes to the company goals. Someone who's always pushing back on any new idea with little comments like, that'll never work, we've never done it that way. And there's someone who has completely other intentions, which means that you're going, say for your, if you could see me, you'd be going from the bottom of the slide toward the top of the slide, staying within a set of barriers. Someone who is the negative defiant is starts at the top and pushes down against you. Other intentions would be someone who has a right angle off to the right, and they're going in a different direction. You only want to keep one of those kinds of employees. That's the willing. Anybody who's a negative, defiant, has other intentions, which we call the wholly shiftless, you should terminate them immediately, if not yesterday. But watch for them during the interviews process. See how they line up with your core values, and don't hire them as the best practice. Being reasonable is being able to find reasons not to do something. Our culture is different than that. We always look for the solution. We always ask, how can it be done? Even if it seems impossible, how can it be done? You have to let your employees know that you're unreasonable about your goals and the targets, and that you're never going to give up. In our tax business, Aero Marine tax professionals, we submit an audit to the state. No matter how much they push back, we never, ever give up. That's why we win 100% of the time. I'm totally unreasonable about that position. I know I'm going to win. Let's talk a little bit about attitude. Bad attitudes are the #1 killers of a company's culture. Our #1 company policy is you can't come to work and be in a bad mood. Why? This reason right here. If you check it at the door, if you're having a tough morning, as soon as you arrive at work, change your attitude. Be upbeat, be positive. And we have wristbands and stuff like that say no negativity allowed. And we practice that relentlessly. A great attitude is what can make a company culture thrive. If everybody's going in the same directions, everybody's bought into the total progress and the total goals and what we is striving to attain what we call the valuable final products of each post, it's magic. It's absolutely magic. I talked a little bit about the leave it at the door mentality. If you're having a tough day, if the dog ate your shoes, or if there's been a traffic jam on the way to work and everybody was honking at you and it was all your fault, just check it at the door. As soon as you come through the door, change your attitude to one of positivity. The thing you need to realize is that attitude is a choice. We, as individuals, choose how to respond to life. Whenever something happens external to you, you are 100% in control of how you react to it. And that is what makes up your attitude. The way to keep attitude in check is by enforcing the core values. We're going to spend a little time on that today, so don't think I'm leaving you out on a limb. How's everybody doing? Thumbs up if everything is going fine for you. Thumbs up if I'm not going too fast, if you need me to slow down. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat. Dallas, is there anybody who's indicating that I'm going too fast? Okay. So the next thing, the slide is called "You Can't Change a Bad Attitude." During the interview, Ask questions that reflect their attitude during the interview. I used to always ask people 2 questions during every interview. Tell me about your single best day on any job that you've ever had. And I'd let them tell me, and I'd tell them they had to put me in the moment by being very descriptive, because I wanted to know what really made things work, what really made them feel like they were having a good day. The second question I always ask is, okay, looking over your entire work history again, tell me about your single worst moment. I did that because if someone starts complaining about their previous employer, you can pretty much rest assured that they're going to start complaining about you. Don't hire them. You know, it's not a pity party. It's not a place to complain. If you're the interviewee, the important thing is for you to always put positivity, effort forward, never negativity. Bad attitudes are more likely to change the attitudes of you and your employees. A bad attitude is like a bad virus. It can affect everybody, including your people with good attitudes. And they're usually mad at you because you're not enforcing your culture and throwing the bad attitudes out of the building. Employees with bad attitudes are the first to corrupt new employees. When you have a group of new employees and you see one of your people who've been here for a while huddling with them, and all of a sudden something starts to change in that dynamic, be aware of that. Look for it. It's up to you as the boss to enforce your core values. It's up to you to correct that, bring that employee, the existing employee who's not the new employees, in and sit down with them and go, how did that conversation go? What was actually happening? You know, what were you talking to them about? What did you say? If you don't ask the tough questions, you're never going to get an answer. Don't let bad attitudes on whether it's your bad attitude as the boss, or current employees' bad attitudes affecting new employees, or a new employee who comes in with a bad attitude. Don't let them poison your organization. Everybody who works here has a responsibility to keep the core values of the entire organization in place all the time. The way to not allow poison in your company is to keep your values, the core values, at the forefront in your mind with every employee at all times. What you see on the screen is our 6 core values, and we're going to probably add a 7th, which is courage. Number 1 is service. I'm going to give you a couple of definitions. Okay, as it relates to a business, service is defined as an act of helpful activity, help, or aid. I think that should be pretty clear, but I wanted to clear it up. I'll always give you definitions. Number 2 is financial freedom. The first word is finance. It's part of the word finance, which is the area of life concerned with maintaining the inflow of money greater than the outflow, and with the management of money. Financial is defined as pertaining to monetary receipts and expenditures or related to money matters. The second word, freedom, the power to determine action without restraint. So when you put those two together, hopefully you understand it. If you don't, call me, 916-691-9192, and ask me, and I'll go over this list that I'm reading to you from. Not just a deck, but the derivations of the words and everything. The number 3 step is ethics. Now, this is a word that's completely misunderstood. Ethics is a personal thing. It is defined as that which is enforced by oneself, his belief in his own honor and good reason, and optimum solution in all areas of his life. Quite simply, ethics are reason. Accountability, number 4. Being charged with the responsibility for the results or effects of something. Number 5, which is accountability. Cooperative or coordinated effort on the part of a group or persons acting together as a team or in the interest of a common cause. A team has a tendency to know what the other team members are doing and thinking and coordinates thereby and therewith. That is a definition of a team. It is people who cooperate with one another to push forward toward a common purpose, and they normally get along great. The derivation of the word team is from Old English, which is two animals harnessed together for work. Definition of work, because we're still working on teamwork. Work is exertion or effort directed to produce or accomplish something, labor or toil. Also, another definition for work is productive or operating activity. Okay, so where are we at? I think I've left out accountability, but I think you pretty much know that. You're in charge of something, you're responsible for the result, and your team will hold you accountable, hold you to task, hold you to what you promise. In other words, deliver what you promise. Results, a desirable or beneficial consequence, outcome, or effect. So notice that in the definition of results, it's a positive thing only. A desirable or beneficial consequence, outcome, or effect. Okay? Now, the one that I'm going to probably add to it is courage, which is defined as the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty, danger, pain, etc., without fear or bravery. The derivation of the word courage comes from Old French, which is courage, which is feelings, and then Latin cor, which is heart. C-O-R, core. So, those are the core values in our company. So you should establish for yourself what your company core values are. Be transparent with not only values, but with how the company is doing as it relates to all of those core values. Make sure everyone is holding themselves and others accountable for not upholding the values. In our company, anyone can hold anyone else responsible. They can write what we call a knowledge report if someone is failing to uphold our core values. And that knowledge report goes from them to the person who's acting out against our core values and is put in their personnel file. And the person who is being written about has an opportunity to respond to that. Make sure that the personal goals of each employee align with those of the company. This might seem a little weird. It was never done when I was young, or was never done even when I was a middle age. But I'm telling you that from the viewpoint of where I'm at today, it would have been my life would have been easier as an employee, and it would have gone a lot smoother as an employer if I had bothered to take this step. And I'm telling you for sure, do it on your own. It's important. Also, we do this during the interview, and then we're going to revisit. We revisit those, and I'm probably going to do them quarterly. I want all employees to define their 1, 3, and 5-year personal, professional, and financial goals. And those are with real answers. If you're asking somebody for their financial goals, have them give you how much annual salary they want. Personal goals can be health related. Professional can be what kind of post, what kind of job do you want to have in that time frame. And it's really nice when I find somebody that's got 1 year and 3 year and 5 year goals and they're still all connected with our company. It's important that we communicate, be transparent, and we document those goals because they're going to change over time, and the people need to see that change. And we as a company need to recognize and acknowledge that change. You should update those goals every 3 months, as I said. You have to find a way to put your company culture in effect and enforce it. We do it by telling people what the core values are, what standards, how much absence you can have before you lose your job, and what the steps are, how much absence or how much failure to meet your standards in terms of your Cardone training. And there's consequences to every action that goes against our standards. Every morning we have a success meeting, and the only thing we talk about during the success meeting is successes. That's not a time for correction. And by the way, correction should always be done in a one-on-one format. It always should be, when you're correcting someone, always take them into an office or take them aside separately. Don't correct them as a group. I'm trying to figure out a way how to correct a group, and I'm thinking that I treat the group as an individual and do it all at once, but we'll get that worked out and we'll report back to you on how that all works. In our company, Cardone U training is mandatory. You get on, we pay for the college tuition, but every person is required to do 6 segments of training every single day, Monday through Friday. And we're pretty relentless on that. We get a report every morning of who completed it. If someone does less than 6, they get a note. They get a note. And they're reminded that what our minimum standards are. It's up to me as the owner and the leader of the organization to make sure that the organization always imposes our things that we will not tolerate, things that we will not allow to slip, because we know how successful they are. And we know how they're going to help us as a company to maintain our core values. We also have a money board for anybody that closes a sale. And you're listed, your name goes up when you close with the gross amount that you close, and obviously whoever closes the highest amount is at the top of the list and goes to the bottom. At a minimum, your goal should be on the board. I don't really care about the amount, yes and no, because I know that you're taking action, and we've got so many different products to sell and make available to other people that sometimes instead of a $25,000 sale, it's only a $34 sale. But those are successful completed cycles of action, and we provide a lot of training to people to figure out how to do that. You need to know how practices correlate with attitude. So here's the golden part: how to install a new company culture. If you don't do this correctly, the company culture it's kind of like coming into this lifetime and having your heart missing, or having your soul missing, or having your stomach missing. It's hard to operate if the parts don't work well. So start it off with, this is what we do. These are the demands. These are the we're not going to let you cross the line. And everyone in the company has the right and the responsibility to enforce that on everyone else who works there. If you have someone in your company that are resistant to change, because if you're bringing this in after having already been in a while and has a fixed mindset, first responsibility is you should always look at yourself and figure out how you sell that program to them and get them aligned. If you can't get them aligned, it's obvious what's going to happen. What you have to do, and this is going to take a lot of work on your own part, is you have to cut the negative defiant employees from the workplace. If you don't do this, your company is going to fail. You're taking your own future away. I have discovered that in 50 years of being in business, that every person that's inside your business who's not one of the willing is consuming the entire output of 2 of your willing employees. Let's say you have 3 employees and one of them is a negative defiant or wholly shiftless. If you let that person go, you're going to discover that your income will go up without replacing them, because there's no longer that counter intention in your organization that makes the good people less. You have to also cut out the wholly shiftless, and remember that the wholly shiftless is someone who has an other intention. If their whole mind is to be on their cell phone all the time, texting with their friends when they're not supposed to be, we have a policy against. You're not allowed to be on your cell phone. Family emergencies, they have our company, they can call the operator, they'll get through immediately. So there's no good reason to be having your cell phone on your desk, unless part of your work in the sales department allows you to be on the sales phone. But this is something that I'm really aware of and I watch for a lot, because a lot of people have come up with this culture that even in school you're allowed to have your phone at the desk. Well, you're not paying attention to what I want you to do if you have your phone at the desk. Sorry, that's one of the places that it's non-negotiable. You got to create your core values and your goals, and then hold everyone in your organization. And remember that you're included in the definition of everyone. You've got to hold people accountable. If there's not consequences to when people don't do what they're supposed to do, you don't have a company culture. And then you have to implement practices that enforce company values and goals. And this is the failing of most people, and this was whenever I had a problem in my previous businesses, it was always my fault because I hadn't enforced a company culture. I had never talked about core values, and I never really set goals and forwarded them all to I wasn't transparent about them with all of my employees. So it's a deadly, deadly practice. Create your core values, enforce your company values and your goals. Now, I want to go back to financial freedom for a second, because this is really, really, really important. If your employees don't understand how to get their finances right, they're going to disengage. And 72% of all employees in the United States of America, on a survey done before COVID started, are completely disengaged at work. 72%. And the reason is because they don't understand money. So the reason why I went back to such a deep dive of what the definition of financial freedom was is to make sure that I've cleared the definitions of those words. And when you start Cardone U, you start with the financial freedom section, the finance section. So I take as much responsibility to deliver as much information to all of my new employees as fast as I can, because the minute that you get your ideas about money right, it's easy to work. It's easy because you get how to create income, and then how to expand income, and all those steps. Financial freedom is a path that all of you should be on, and I'm going to show you in the next slide how to work towards it. The reason why I put financial freedom second is what I just said. You've got to have your money right. If you don't get your attitude about money right, and I take responsibility for training you, it's going to be hard for you to stay engaged at your job when times get tough. So the important thing is, how can I help you? My first piece of advice to anyone is, don't try to do things by yourself. Always find an accountability partner, otherwise known as a mentor. Always find a teammate at work to kind of push each other to stay on your track, whether it's going on a diet, losing weight, whether it's gaining weight, whether it's getting ready for surfing season, whatever you want to do. If you have someone on that same journey with you, holding you accountable to what you're promising to yourself and to the universe, it'll be much easier to do. If you try to do it on yourself, I'll tell you a story as a baseball coach that I said this to many times. You are not qualified, while you're learning to do something, you're not qualified to be a judge of how you're doing. You don't know enough about it. So don't try to go it alone. Get somebody exterior to you. I really, really want to help instill financial freedom into your team. If you don't want to go through the goals and the processes and the core values, at least take this step. You have to understand, because there's a very, very specific formula of how to achieve financial freedom, which I'm going to give you. Here it is. The top of the wheel is create income, and that generally converts to find a job. Then it's your job at your job to figure out ways to increase your income. We have commission structures on almost everything that we do, and it's anybody who works here, even if they're working in the social media department, has the opportunity to try and, with their people that they know, to try and create an extra income flow. Save money. When you let's say that you start at $35,000 a year, and something over the next year gives you an extra $10,000 with income, don't raise your standard of living. Live like you're broke. Live like you could in the very beginning at 35 and take all that extra money and put it away in a sacred account. Then invest it. And the first place you should invest things is in yourself. And don't buy things that don't help you create money. Buying a brand new car, buying a house, buying shiny stuff, buying expensive watches, buying Lamborghinis, that is a misuse of money. You should always be training yourself to earn and create more money. Okay, because the object is, if you study wealthy people, you'll discover that most really wealthy people have at least 8 flows of income. 8. And if you're an employee and you've been functioning under the crappy training that you were given in school or the lousy advice you were given by your parents, you think that you can stay on one flow of income, it's not going to help you. You have to create multiple flows of income. Then you increase those flows. But before you start getting off to this creating other flows of income, make sure that you've increased your income at your current job first to the maximum that it can be. And every time you think you've gone to the maximum, go ask your boss, what else can I do around here to create more money for me? And that maximum should be 3 to 5 times as much as you started working there. There should be that kind of opportunity for you there. So now we're back to the bottom of the scale where it says create multiple flows of income. Then you increase the flows on those multiple flows of income. And if you go back to the beginning and you see that you're constantly saving money into sacred accounts, put that money into something that helps you create more income. Personal training, spiritual training, Cardone U, which we pay for. We put the money in, you put the time. So as you increase your flows, save that money and then invest it again. And only invest it in things that aren't losing money. And then you increase the numbers of flows again. You notice that there's a repetition in this cycle about income, increase it, save, invest. Create multiple flows of income, which is the similar step is 2 about increasing income. Then increase those flows. You notice how they're the same. Then save, then invest. So it's income, create income, increase income, save, and invest. Then create multiple flows, increase multiple flows, save, and invest. And then the last 2 are increase number of income flows. There is a very, very, very rigid step, and if you follow that, I guarantee it'll work. So what I'm going to do is tell you to do this. Call our office number at 916-691-9192. Ask for me, Tom. If I'm not available, ask for Dallas. And if she's not available, ask for Wes. Give us your credit card. All right. And in the chat, we are putting up where the webinar offers are. I'm telling you right now, in fact, I'm not even going to ask you for permission. You need to give us your credit card number and buy this. I'll take you through this wealth creation formula. And I'll give you a free 15-minute call to help you work this out for yourself and help you create a plan for yourself. And you can ask any questions that you want. Here's some of the contacts of both me and Dallas. I don't have Wes's on here because I just added his name to this list because I know that the flood of calls is going to be so great that Dallas and I aren't going to be handling them all. But I'm going to tell you right now, your job today is to call 916-691-9192 and ask for Tom, okay? And tell him it's about the wealth creation formula. Tiffany's going to answer the phone and tell her I need to get through because they need my credit card number because I need this wealth creation formula immediately because you know you need it. I know you need it. Don't procrastinate. Once you get your money right, your ideas about money right, that's the very, very, very first step to being able to create income. And I'd love to help you do that. So if you don't have any questions that you want to throw up in the chat, I got to say again, call me today. We take Visa and MasterCard. All you got to do is give us your credit card number, authorize us to charge that small amount of money, and I mean, it can't be a problem. That you don't have a $35 problem. You have $1 million problem, and I want to help you solve that. And I know how to help you solve it. Why? Because I've done that. I have multiple flows of income, and I love it. It's nice. It's mailbox money that just shows up, and it comes along with tax write-offs in excess of the amount of income. So I'm receiving income, and my tax liability is going down. Wouldn't you like that? That's what this wealth creation formula will do for you. I'd really love to help you with this. 916-691-9192 and ask for Tom. I'm here for you. Okay, so that is the end of today's presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope things are going well in your life. They're not going to be smooth because this is planet Earth, but I know I can help you. I know you should do this. I absolutely know you can do this. And I'll help you on your way not only to fractional freedom, but I'll help you to recognize your own greatness. So look in the chats. There's links to the offers that are there. And that's all I got for today.